Leaders, what if the biggest external threat to your team isn't competition, but a secret fear hidden deep inside your leadership? Today, we conduct a psychologist's deep dive into a potent, often hidden driver in leadership, the fear of failure or appearing incompetent. We'll unmask how this fear can manifest in destructive patterns like maladaptive perfectionism, chronic risk avoidance, and information hoarding. Here, we'll examine their psychological roots and their profound, often crippling impact on your team's innovation, trust, and growth. Understanding this is crucial for leading with courage and fostering true resilience. And if you recognize yourself in any of these patterns, there's a free webinar link in the description below to help you lead with more confidence, courage, and clarity. So this brings us on to the first topic of discussion: leadership perfectionism. Let's first examine maladaptive perfectionism. This isn't the healthy pursuit of excellence. It's a relentless drive for flawlessness stemming from a deep-seated fear of inadequacy. The leader believes their worth, their competence is irrevocably tied to performing without error. And maybe you felt that urge too, where you double or triple check your work late into the night, not because it's imperfect, but because anything less than perfect feels unacceptable. And in these cases, mistakes then aren't seen as chances to learn. They become catastrophic indictments of one's own ability. This internal fear projects outwards as impossibly high standards for both self and others, leading to constant criticism, micromanagement, and an environment where team members are terrified to make a mistake. Initiative is crushed, creativity withers, burnout becomes a significant risk. Consider Howard Hughes, a brilliant mind who demanded flawlessness to the point of obsession. And as a result of this, his projects would often stall, relationships would collapse, and isolation would eventually follow. Perfectionism became a prison, not a pursuit. This brand of perfectionism is not a quest for quality. It's fear masquerading as high standards. It doesn't elevate the team. It suffocates their capacity for learning, experimentation, and the very human striving it purports to champion. The pursuit of an impossible ideal paralyzes real-world effectiveness. But when the fear of error becomes paramount, another defensive strategy often emerges: a retreat into the known. And that brings us on to the second point of this video: risk avoidance. Now let's consider the leader entrenched in risk avoidance, fearing negative outcomes, scrutiny, or the exposure of potential incompetence. These leaders cling to outdated methods. And maybe you felt this yourself, hesitating to push a new idea because if it fails, it feels like a personal failure. The tried and tested then becomes a fortress against the perceived dangers of the unknown. This fear often stems from past negative experiences with failed initiatives, catastrophic thinking where any misstep is imagined as a disaster, or a fundamental discomfort with the ambiguity inherent in growth. The team in and of itself experiences this as stagnation. Frustration builds, especially among forward-thinking members. Crucial opportunities are missed as the organization fails to adapt. The implicit message is clear: new ideas are dangerous, conformity is safe. Kodak, once the giant of photography, clung to film while digital innovation surged ahead. Their risk of cannibalizing their legacy paralyzed them. That hesitation alone cost them an entire empire. This is where team communication around innovation and problem solving often breaks down. And if you're seeing your team's fresh ideas stifled or vital dialogue around new approaches shut down, know that fostering a more open, psychologically safe environment for innovation is achievable. You'll find a link in the description below to a free webinar I host, which offers frameworks to help cultivate precisely that kind of constructive, courageous team communication. The perceived safety of chronic risk avoidance is a profound illusion. In a constantly evolving world, the greatest risk is often inaction, a paralysis driven by the leader's internal fear of making a mistake and being seen as less than perfect. But this fear of exposure can lead to a more insidious tactic, controlling the flow of vital information. And this brings us on to the last segment of this video, information hoarding. Driven by insecurity and the fear of being challenged or seeming less knowledgeable, some leaders withhold vital information. Perhaps you've held back sharing key details, worried that if people see too much, your own authority might be questioned. This behavior often stems from the belief that knowledge is personal power to be guarded, an edge to avoid scrutiny or obsolescence. This behavior can stem from a profound insecurity about one's own competence. For instance, if others are equally informed, will their own importance diminish? Or this famous one, will their decisions be questioned more readily? The team experienced this as a direct hit to trust and collaboration, and as a result, bottlenecks form. Empowerment is impossible, especially as rumors and misinformation can fill the vacuum created by withheld knowledge. We've seen in historical accounts of secretive courts or councils how tightly controlled information intended to consolidate power often led to intrigue, disastrous miscalculations, and profound alienation between rulers and those they govern. If you look at the company Enron, their inner circle notoriously concealed vital financial data under the guise of strategic secrecy. That opacity bred internal mistrust and public ruin. So just understand that when information is hoarded, systems collapse from the inside. Hoarded information doesn't safeguard a leader's position or authority. It starkly reveals their insecurity. It starves the team of collective intelligence and shared context, essential for navigating complexity and achieving true collaborative success. True power is amplified by sharing, not by hoarding. However, it's important to understand that these fear-driven patterns are deeply human, but for a leader, they are deeply damaging. But is there a path beyond them? Facing the profound fear of appearing incompetent is one of leadership's most challenging inner tasks. It demands courage, but the path to liberation from these defensive patterns involves cultivating psychological safety, first within oneself and then extending it to the team. It means reframing failure not as an indictment of worth, but as an essential component of learning and growth. It involves embracing vulnerability not as weakness, but as the precursor to authentic connection and trust. When a leader models the courage to be imperfect, to learn openly from mistakes, and to champion experimentation, they unlock an entirely different level of engagement, innovation, and resilience within their team. Because ultimately, the fear of failure is a powerful inhibitor of great leadership. True competence isn't about flawless performance. It's about fostering the courage to learn, the safety to share, and the strength to evolve. The most impactful leaders build fortresses not against failure, but for brave exploration. Many leaders, they don't even realize they're doing it. So ask yourself, are you guarding your image or unlocking your team's potential? Only you can know the answer to that. But in your hearts of hearts, you already know what it is. Well, look, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed what you watched on this video. I hope there were some takeaways that you can use and apply to your real life situations. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, peace.